All right, y'all. Bitter Bros Golf Show back at it again. I am Rod.
And I'm Marcus.
Just want to start out early and probably speak to Perry Wiggins. The true champions reside in DFW this year, so just representing the Texas Rangers as the MLB season has kicked off. We are in the
Right.
city of champions this year, so um, yeah. Shout out to the Rangers. Got to get out to a game with the little one yesterday. So that was fun experience seeing them beat up on the Cubs. The crazy part was how many Cubs fans actually live in DFW now. The whole stadium
Right.
was damn. It was probably, I don't want to say half and half, but it was a sizable contingent of Cubs people in the arena. How was your week, man?
It was good. It was good. I mean, I'm glad the Rangers got off to a good start. Quieted the Cubs for the most part. 2-1, not a bad way to begin the season. It wasn't a sweep like we did last season, but it's all good. The Mavs are doing very well. Shout out to Luca. Shout out to Kyrie. I mean, not jinxing it, but this really gives me, a nice little championship run vibe right now, just because everybody has their role defined, which is what happened in 2011. Everybody knew what they were supposed to be doing. That's sometimes the key. When you know what you're supposed to be doing, you're going to do that to the best of your ability. So I feel like the roles are defined. So I think that in itself is good. Work week was smooth. I don't have any complaints, but how about you, Rod? How was your fitting? How did it go with the driver? Let's get
Uh, we'll
into
get
it.
we'll, we'll get into the to my fitting later, a little bit later. I don't want to deprive the folks of. I think it'll blend a little bit with what we talk about with my guy
Hmm.
Tony Finau. There's some similarities there, but let's get into this Nelly Korda, man. Young lady is on a tear. 3 starts, 3 wins this year. Um, young ladies out here beasting on the
Yeah,
LPGA. It's just hard to, she gives me the Scotty Scheffler vibes that if she's in the
yeah.
running, you might want to be scared. You might want to be cautious that she's sneaking up behind you. And sure enough, she did the same thing again this week. Rough conditions, man. So, I mean, fairly
Cold.
decent weather, I believe. Yeah, cold on Sunday, but it was windy yesterday. They had
Yeah,
39, mile per hour wind gusts. So tough
yeah.
conditions, and she's just gutting it out. And that says a lot about her as a player. That the conditions, I mean, they're going to matter, right? But to have the mental fortitude to kind of fight through that. What do you think about her? Kind of just, I mean, it was an inaugural event, the
Yeah.
Ford. So everybody getting first look at this course on a professional level. But what do you think about the run that she's on right now, man?
Yeah, the run she's on is crazy. It's going to take a while to go back into history to find out the last time somebody won back to back to back like that on tour pretty much on PGA or LPGA. So, um she already retained number 1 last week when she won. Um so that was already a stamp on it, and then for her to come out and win by 2, shoot under par again. She shot 7 on a day like
Mm-hmm.
this. That's
Yeah.
championship. That's championship pedigree right there. For you to go out in nasty conditions on back to back in the 60s, all 4 rounds, and her best round was the final round. So if you ever doubted Nelly, it's time to stop. Period.
Yeah, the only, like you said, going back in history, well, we were very close. Quick mention to the PGA, Scotty Scheffler teeing it up at the, what is it, Texas Children's Open at Memorial Park. Had a chance
Yeah,
today to get actually his third in a row. Actually had a very gettable birdie putt to force a playoff, but wasn't
it
able
had a
to.
very good look.
Yeah, that
I
one
thought
was
we were
kind of
going to
weak
see Scotty
sauce.
be Scotty again. Perfect
I
drive,
know.
nice little bleed into it underneath the cup, and then the putter struck. I mean, golly.
Yeah.
Mm.
But
I thought we were
let's
going to
not get
see Scotty.
sidetracked.
See Scotty.
I I know. I don't want to get sidetracked though, because
Yeah.
Nelly's holding the day. Let's get
Yeah.
into, we missed it last week. Not missed it, but we didn't do a what's in the bag on her. We featured Peter Malnati. Apparently people don't love Peter Malnati. That what's in the bag video didn't get the views. So let's get into this Nelly Korda, because she's on a historic run. I think it's cool. I've said this before. There's a macho contingent out there of men that think that they would go out and kill an LPGA player. And the truth is, a really good male player should actually probably be comparing their bags up to a LPGA player in terms of
Right.
looking at distances, maybe some of the profiles, because the swing speeds for an amateur male are probably going to be somewhat similar to a elite female. You may be able to get some additional driver distance, but otherwise, there's a lot of similarities in this bag. Because you as a elite male have a huge gap between you and PGA Tour player, Corn Ferry Tour, whatever. There's a
Right.
huge gap between a elite male but I think again, just when you look at swing speeds alone, I think women always still trump men in terms of technique. You look at some of these swings that we see week in and week out on the LPGA, and they're
Yeah.
incredibly solid, technically sound. Optimizing ball striking, those the numbers are incredible when you look at smash factor and things like that. So let's get
Exactly.
into this Nelly profile here. So TaylorMade, gracious enough to post this stock yardages for her in 2024. Again, I kind of mentioned the driver at the top of the bag. I mean, there's males that get it out there further than this, and I want to assume that these are carry distances and not necessarily
Yes.
after rollout. And so, I mean,
Yes, they
252
are.
driver carry is pretty good, right? So,
Yeah.
again, I'm no crazy good player, but I have some decent distance off the tee. As Marcus mentioned earlier, I went and got fit earlier this week. That's about my average carry. And then, after rollout, probably looking at about 270 or so. So very
Yeah.
respectable and, able to, get the ball out there. 3 wood, 332. I'm pretty similar. I don't carry a 7 wood or a 5 hybrid, but she's at 218, 200. I assume her 5 hybrid playing like a 4 iron.
Yeah.
Probably I have, her lofts here, here in a little bit. 5 iron 185, 6 iron 169. Honestly, these are, there's a few variances. You're longer than me, so these are, probably close to very within a handful of yards of where I'm playing some of these. I mean, when we get lower, my 7 iron goes a little bit further, same with the 8 and 9, but pitch and wedge 124, about spot on. I play a 50. At 115, it's crazy how the similarities are going. I don't play a
Yeah.
54. I have a 56 in the bag, and then she plays a 60. Um, Not many pros are hitting the 60 wedge full. We've talked about this before. Professionals are
Right.
not hitting 60s out of the fairway. They're much more likely to take a little bit off this 54 and go from there. So, um, I had been using Q10 on this driver, but I heard a TaylorMade page actually say it out loud. So it's the QI10. She's playing the max version of it with the
Hmm.
Mitsubishi Diamana GT60 stiff, playing at 10 degrees. Um, what do you think about? What do you think about the Q10, QI10 this year? Have you had a chance to hit it or put it on a monitor?
No, I mean, I haven't even seen a QI10 in person yet. I mean, I walk right by it at
Really?
Golf Galaxy. I mean, I got a TSR 3. I mean, it's top three in the ratings right now as far as best overall driving. So, I mean,
Yep.
I mean, once I put that in the bag with the shaft that I wanted, I definitely haven't looked any other way. I haven't needed to, because what I do with that is, trumping what I did with my Sim Max, and I love my Sim Max. It was a hard battle to find something to compare to it, And
Yeah.
the TSR 3 really did that for me pretty honestly the first
Pretty
round. I
well.
mean, I got acclimated to the weight of the head because I feel like that's pretty much one of the stark differences between manufacturers right now, especially with TaylorMade using like carbon a lot more. They definitely have a
Hmm.
lighter profile in their head and their grammage, and they have a lot of weight in the shaft and stuff like that. So you can swing the TaylorMade a little bit faster. They want to see club head speed, they want to see ball speed and stuff like that, but it doesn't always have the best results. So for me,
No.
I feel like I'm not swinging. I don't feel like I need to swing nearly as hard as I used to, and I'm still getting the same results, if not better, when I do want to
Yeah.
swing, when I do want to get a hold of it. So I'm
Yeah.
more than impressed with the TSR. But
My experience
but
testing the QI10 this week was that it was somewhat hard to control. I mean, it's interesting that this year's release of clubs, a lot of them have similar characteristics that the good ones are, I mean, really good. I would not say that this is the most forgiving club out there right now. When you look at kind of top four manufacturers, this is not the most forgiving club. So you have to be really hitting it on the screws. But it's the club that most TaylorMade staffers are playing right now. So they're going to get their adjustments to where they want it to be and make any customization shaft type. But yeah, so pretty standard driver offering here. Starts getting a little bit interesting. I love when players don't abandon the 3 wood, from season to season and they just play what works. So she's playing the TaylorMade Stealth 2 from last year at 15 and 21 degrees. Fujikara Ventus Red 7S shaft, excuse me, 7 stiff shaft. I mean, pretty standard. Again, we talked about, who's dropping down to the TaylorMade Mini Driver. She's got a pretty, I would say, standard bag. A lot of pros playing the 7 wood versus hybrids these days. That's a pretty common move, and has
mhm.
become pretty trendy out there in the streets. Any comment here?
um, I mean that I was talking to Michael. I wanted to try the stealth, but he was like, "Well, I tried in the store, and it's not the same. You should stay with your sim." So I never tried it. But
I
it
mean,
is what it is. I mean,
yeah,
it looks great. It looks
yeah.
like a very nice product.
So
I heard that the
what
Stealth 1 was better than the Stealth 2.
what woods are you playing right now? The 3 wood.
I'm playing the Ping G410, and
That's right.
3 hybrid is a Ping G410 as well, which is great. I'm getting great numbers out of them. I mean, I'm about, I would say I'm probably 245 ish, 250 ish on the carry with the 3 wood. But I mean, I'm looking into
Hmm.
going with the TSR series too. Well, I mean, next little bonus I get or whatever. Just, I mean, I'm not a brand snob, but like I like being coordinated as far as
don't,
that
don't,
thing. So like,
bro, don't. Those days are long gone, man. I'm sorry. So you got to roll. You got to. I can't do it. I go. I'm at this point. I go with what works and what's giving me the best numbers. And honestly,
mm,
I don't know, man. I mean, I get it, but if what you're playing is working, I mean, I've this week have considered keeping my same driver in the back because looking at the numbers, there's not a lot of improvement that I can get. So we'll keep, we'll see. But pretty standard offer in there. I thought this one was interesting. So she's playing the Ping G425, Fujikara Ventus HB, which is their hybrid shaft at 26 degrees. I'm very familiar with this club. I have this in a 3 hybrid version. Very pretty to look at down by the ball. I mean, it's a pretty
mhm.
straightforward. You have the alignment dots. I love this club. Um, it's explosive. So Ping is known, of course, for being very straight and controllable and predictable. Even on miss hits, you're not going to get some crazy stuff. But I want to say this is one of their hottest faces with my experience. I feel like the driver line of Ping is very forgiving, but their woods have some pop to them. I know you've probably
Hmm.
experienced that with the 410 series, and they just continue to get better. I don't. I again, I like the look of this one without the turbulators. That's my preference is to have a smooth top line, and they're
Yeah.
achieving that here. So let's keep it rolling. So irons, she's playing the one P770, which is their, really, it's a really nice looking club, and she's playing that in the 5 iron. The rest of her set, 6 through pitch and wedge, the P7 MCs, and this shaft here was the Aerotech steel fiber. I'm gonna pull this. I had not really heard of this shaft, I'll be honest. So I went to their website or a comparable website just to get some information, and I'll pull this up here. I'm gonna skip through a couple of shafts here. Um, this is all the corporate mumbo jumbo and whatnot, but it says designed for the player looking to gain distance without sacrificing control. High modulus graphite core, over 59 miles of steel core fibers, all that marketing jazz. Um, so been profiled based on the tour winning steel fiber I-95, which is what she plays in her wedges. Um, you have a more keen eye for some of this stuff down here at the very bottom with all the length and torque. What do you think about this particular shaft?
The 370 staff, the 370 tip, that's kind of big. Usually you see a lot of 355s. I mean, that's mid trajectory. I mean, that sounds about right with the graphite shaft, a little bit heavier. I mean, honestly, I'm surprised she's not playing an iron shaft. Just, I mean, how good she is and how field based she
Uh-huh.
is. But if this is giving her the, the numbers that she wants, and she plays in Florida a lot, so she probably tries to deal with the same thing that we deal with, where trying to get some rollout when it's dried out and everything like that from the rain. Then, of course, you don't want to always have the ball up in the air, and she can probably play with the trajectory of her clubs better than a lot of players. So when she wants to hit it high, she can hit it high. If she wants to hit it low, she can hit it low. That's probably why. But yeah, I mean, that's a pretty damn good shaft, though. Definitely
Yeah,
nothing wrong with that.
yeah, and the irons are pretty. I mean, these things are just you
Right, and
know
that's a player's iron.
they're beautiful, little compact, really thin top line. Looks great in the bag. Looks great down by the ball. So,
Yep.
like you said, yeah, she's got a tailor made bag. The wedges were very interesting. So she's playing the mill grind at 50 and 54, and then at 58 she's playing the Vokey Wedge Works with that I-95 again steel fiber shaft. So kind of keeping that trend, something she likes about that particular shaft and the profile,
Yeah,
carrying it
probably a
through with just
58 bid
the.
to a 60.
Let me double check. I want to say she's kept it the same. Let's see here, but you're
It's supposed to be 50,
probably
54, 60.
you're probably right. I believe I saw that. Yeah, which like you said, that makes sense with her hitting at 83 full. Again, which is a rarity. So yeah, been to 60. Come back here.
56 to
And
100. Yeah.
I think that's the last slide there. So yeah, let me go back to the yardages there. So yeah, cool little bag. I think we're excited to go over this one just because we haven't done a women's bag, and because she's been so prolific in her winning this year, it just makes sense to give her her props and um, just on an incredible run. Like I said, Scheffler, like just really doing it big out here. And we're not even we're just hitting the first quarter of the year, finishing up today, and she's already got 3
Right.
wins. So the major
They haven't
season
even
is
played their
looking.
first major.
No, we haven't even hit the majors yet, and she just looks really comfortable. So shout out to
Facts.
Nelly Korda. 2 weeks in a row that we've given her props, but definitely wanted to go over the what's in the bag. And again, she won again, so she's gonna get mentions out here for us.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get into
Mm-hmm.
this Tony Finau jazz. So the first story of the week came out earlier in the week. He made a driver change or driver shaft change. Still playing the Ping G430. Just had a shaft adjustment, getting too much spin in his current driver. So he went from a Diamana um, D Plus Limited 70 Tour X driver shaft to a Mitsubishi Diamana GT 70 TX Tour X. It's not much of a difference. He just went from a D plus to a GT, but still playing the Jing Ping. God, I'm gonna say that right one time. Ping G430 LST, the low spin version of that driver.
Yeah.
Again, just seeing too many revs on the driver. Which again, I said this was gonna tie into my experience. Again, I'm nobody special. Um, I went and got fit this week, and my experience was I went through all the major, drivers that are out there this year. Started off with the TaylorMade QI10. We quickly determined that I'm a high spin player. I knew this all along. We've seen this in my game. I always felt like something was going on where I wasn't able to fully max out my yardages. And, a lot of amateurs don't get a lot of spin with driver and through the bag. So didn't get a lot of control out of the QI10, moved to the TSR3. It was okay. I mean, actually, the distance was able to keep up, but I was having some low lefties, which I don't like seeing right now. Kind of just going towards the cut. That's the preferred shot shape. I feel like I have control of that. I used to hit a draw on command, but that's just not my shot anymore. Then we kind of went to the paradigm with Callaway and the ping for me as well. By this point, we're doing all low spin heads, kind of got into some low spin shafts. And that was the thing, right? We talked about this last week. The
Mm-hmm.
heads are all very similar in
Yep.
terms of feel and performance. Where the differences happen are in the shafts. So we did a lot of shaft changes. I would go 3, 4, hits with each shaft and then change it up. And at the end of the fitting, I ended up with the Ping G430 low spin, same as the version that Tony's playing, but with I guess the equivalent version of Ping's kind of Ventus. They do some kind of internal shaft choices, and I didn't buy it. He said, "Hey, take it out for a demo, swing it for a couple of weeks, and then see what happens." And I did this weekend. Still feel like I need to. It's a shorter shaft as well for more control. I still feel like I need to adjust the weighting because I'm just getting a little too much right hand turn. I mean, I'm keeping it in play. Didn't have any crazy right hand balls, but it's just fading a little bit too much for me. Um, when you look at your driver and when you got fit, and have you put your TSR3 on the monitor yet? I don't know your
No.
your revs. You're just out here winging it.
Well, I mean, when I used to work at Golf Galaxy and would get on the monitor, I felt like I don't know. I felt like my true numbers never really showed, or I never really had a good experience because my swing was never really feel the best when I was in the monitor. And that could just be me
Mm,
personally because I just felt like my best swings were not in the monitor. And, I really just, I don't know. I feel like I'm looking down at the top line. If it looks good there, if it has a nice noise when I do hit it out the middle or somewhere near the middle, and then of course how it feels when I'm swinging it, like just my little waggle and whatnot like that. Those are the things that I really go by. And then, I mean, I'm a tinkerer anyways, so a lot of this stuff is just going to end up me being, fine tuning it on my own anyway. So, I mean, that's
yeah,
the best part about me being like a former fitter. I know how to tinker the right way instead of just making
moving random stuff
extreme
around.
right, exactly, and making extreme differences. Like, I did the dumbest possible thing. The last round I played, I changed it back to the stock shaft that it came with. Stock shaft was absolutely garbage. I thought like it was like I was like, oh, okay, not the one for me. I'm so used to the
No,
shaft that I've been using. That's why I switched, like, right. I switched the tip from the TaylorMade tip to the Titleist tip so I could use the same shaft. That's how
Yeah.
good it's been for me, and that's 2 years, 3 years running. So I mean, it's the
Yeah,
best
your
shaft for me, and
profile
I
is
have
your
it in my three
profile.
wood too. Exactly. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't really. I mean, when I used to play around with numbers, the Callaway had the best numbers for me. The Callaway Epic Flash Sub Zero, which is their low spin model, their I'd be in there getting 280 type carry, and I'm never really like that. I'm probably a 260, 265, driver carry with rollout, and then up to 290 or whatever, whatever, whatever. But even then, I try to play the whole. I try not to sit here and be like, oh, I hit it
I'm
305
just
for
blasting
what?
it. Right.
Right.
Is it useful distance, right? Or does the
Yeah,
distance
I'm
put
not
you in
trying to
trouble?
fabricate numbers. Yeah, that's stupid.
That's the thing,
There's
right?
no need
So
for me
it's
to do that.
crazy. The paradigm gave me the best yardage. And that's the thing that
Hmm.
in my head I'm trying to not chase because it was giving me an extra 5 to 10 versus the other clubs consistently. The
Yeah.
the misses, however, were not good misses. There's you can
Mm.
none of us play the game perfectly, but those misses with the paradigm were just not gonna play well on the course. And the way
Yeah.
the fitter told me is like, hey man, look, we can try this out for a couple rounds and see if this works and maybe come back and try something else out on the course because like you said it's very
Yeah.
different hitting in a bay versus hitting out with course conditions, different framing, right, versus a wide open you know it's driving range where you just have this visual, you're hitting into the
Right.
void. It's just different, right, versus when you're out on the course and you see the exit and you see the flight a little bit longer and you can kind of see if it fits what you're looking for as well. So I think ultimately what I want to say for anybody that catches this later is go get fit. I mean, you may
Go
think
get
you
fit.
know, but you really don't know until you get put on a monitor and have a really decent idea of what your numbers are producing and if the shaft that you're playing is too spinny, which honestly makes your misses a lot more drastic.
Yep.
And you could be punishing yourself for no reason. So like I said, go get fit. And if your swing changes, if it's been years since you've been fit, go get fit again because something may have changed in your swing. You're doing something different.
Your
Wyndham Clark
body's
has mentioned
different.
this. Yeah, 100%. 100%. You may be getting older. You may have gotten in shape, and changed some things about yourself. It can go both ways. So go get your ass fit. If you're playing serious golf and you want to see your scores get lowered, go get fit. And also, I think ball fitting is also appropriate. That's another thing that I really enjoyed my fitter. So if you're in Dallas Fort Worth, unpaid, you know, advertisement here. Go to Dallas Golf. Go check in with Dave or Austin. I had Austin this time around. Dave did my iron fitting. Really good guys. Really care about golfers, and will give you a ton of useful feedback for you to continue to learn. About your own game, and even if you're struggling with some things in your swing, they'll even help you out with some quick swing tips just to kind of help. So Dallas Golf, if you're in the DFW area and you don't want to go to a big box store, they're amazing over there. So I've been to a couple fittings with them. So shout out to those guys.
And you got to make sure that you go where you're comfortable, because just like I said, hitting in the monitor and hitting in a hitting bay is not for you. There are plenty of places that have hitting bays that hit you to outdoor spaces or have you out on the range where you're outdoor in the elements as it is. So, like for my Houston constituents, Club Champion, they're indoors and outdoors. Golf Tech is indoors. And then just find you a club fitting. They have them all the time. Memorial Park literally has demo days all the time. Ping, Mizuno, Titleist, TaylorMade, you you name it. Wildcat, we have a few mixed in because we don't really have the range size to do all that. Have a 10 up there, have all the hitting bays and the balls and stuff like that. Plus, when you're hitting these different clubs, they want to use their balls. a lot of these fitters are like, all right, so we're playing well, one for sure Titleist comes out and they're like, hey,
Hmm.
we're gonna hit these Pro Vs, we're gonna hit these Pro V X outs, and I'll shag them myself, but and we'll keep them in the office or whatever, or you just, y'all pick them and we'll get them back and we'll just use them the next time we use a fitter. They use Pro V X outs. They don't even use our range balls. And then like
Yeah.
and that's how extensive some of this stuff gets. And like, bro, don't be afraid to go get your wedges fit, because you might say that you think you need a 58 in your bag, or you may think you need a 62 in your bag, and then you go and you get fit and they're like, bro, you need a pitching wedge, a gap wedge, and a sand wedge. Get out of my face.
Yeah.
Or a
Yeah.
putter,
For years,
bro,
I
for
played
years.
some of my best golf with the lowest lofted wedge being a 56 in my bag for years. And some days it makes me think, why are you overcomplicating this? You know?
Some people don't need that. Me personally, I've been on the same sticks for so long that I mean, I know my numbers. Like I know what's best for me. I know like what I need to be using. So I'm very fortunate to have been in the golf industry to know these numbers. But like,
Yeah.
do I go between seeing if I want to hit 52, 56, 60? Yes, but when my pitching wedge is 45 degrees, why would I want to have that drastic a difference in gap in my degrees? Because that's where the distance is. So like
Hmm.
a lot of people don't know this, but there's like some like 2.5 yards per mile per hour degrees and stuff like that. So that's why when you're
Yeah.
going through your bag, that's why it's every 10 yards. Or with some like, some TaylorMade clubs, it's every 15 yards, just depending upon how they loft it, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But that's typically your gapping, even in your wedges. That's why you're 4 degrees. You're swinging these slower, the shafts are shorter, so that's why there's 4 degrees instead of like, 2 degrees difference, but it's going to be that same
Right.
10 yards to 15 yards difference in between your wedges. And then your putter, get fit for the freaking putter, bro. Like, you think your numbers are good on this, but you just like what happened. Scotty thought he needed a blade and he was doing aesthetic stuff. Then he got him into one of those spider tours where where the alignment line was there for him, the forgiveness was there for him, and he started holding putts again, and everything was hunky dory.
Custom face. Um, it's there's a video that TaylorMade has out. I see it pop up every once in a while. I think they actually have it as an advertisement at this stage, but it's showing the build of his custom putter, and everybody needs something a little bit different. So yeah, man, don't
Yep.
think that just a certain look appeals to you. It may not give you the numbers. People are not necessarily familiar that putters have loft on them, right? So you may be
Mm-hmm.
hitting the wrong loft in your putter, and just maybe
Very true.
causing you to pull, push. The look is just a little bit different. Causes your eye line to look a certain way. So all
Yep.
these things in golf, go get fit, bro. I mean, if you want to play good golf, if you just want to go out and drink and have fun, hit what you hit. But if you actually want to make a difference in your scores, it can make a huge difference. And there's a whole nother like once you get fit and know what your miss is. I watched this video from Golf Digest from a couple weeks ago, just talking. I think I sent it to you about the cone of misses, and I've really been trying to employ that strategy out on the course, knowing what my miss is, and
Yeah.
maybe making some non-traditional alignment choices, but it's within my cone of misses, right? And so playing out of the fairway, just kind of aiming middle of the green versus trying to hunt it flags. But we're getting way deep into some stuff that we'll talk about at a later date.
Yeah.
Um, we almost ventured too far from Tony Finau, but I want to touch on one thing that happened with him and the event at Memorial this weekend with a problematic rookie, Alejandro Tosti, who is a PGA Tour rookie. Last year was out on the Corn Ferry Tour and had a couple of incidences where, I mean, he's had dust ups with other players. He was disqualified from an event for taking a shuttle, non authorized shuttle, to a hole at an event in Florida. He also was removed from an event due to just they left it really vague. They just said
Yeah.
behavior. Um, Again, there's just been a lot of rumors around this dude, and that popped up this weekend where there were a couple of holes. There was about a stretch of 3 holes where he was arguing with Tony Finau about who was away, who was going to putt first. And ultimately, in both situations, technically, he was wrong. And, and I think at the end of this article that I read, ultimately, they're in stroke play there really is no restrictions around who's away, who plays first. You often see people, if they're kind of trying to locate a ball, telling them to go ahead and hit, other
Right.
players in the group. And so
Ready
this
golf
went
type
on
stuff.
for pretty much, right? But on the greens, again, just very contentious. And it's like, dude, you're a rookie. Um, just chill. And I don't know,
Yeah.
man. It just, again, when you have a reputation and you have incidences like this keep popping up, just find it a very interesting story, especially with one of the more likable guys on tour, Tony Finau.
Yeah. I think in situations like this, I think until you really have the pedigree or, you've been on the tour for a while, I think you need to let your game do a lot of the talking. I don't think you need to be more on the scene for antics, which is what I would call this. This is more of mental leverage. And it's like, well, you can't really do that to Tony Finau because Tony Finau is the defending champ, and he's already won multiple times out here on the tour. So definitely holding a little bit more weight than Toasty. But yeah, I mean, the whole situation is, I mean, who's away? And it's like, I think the situation was if you were a better putter or if you weren't really under the gun, you wouldn't be pressing him to constantly feel like you were the one that was not away and you felt like Tony Finau was away, or if you felt like a ball marker was in the way or something like that, which is also stupid because it's like I'll move the mark, you're still away. And now
Yeah.
since 2019, bro, I can tap down any mark on the line to my putt or on the green once I'm on the green. So again, me gardening has nothing to do with you being away, technically and figuratively. So
Yeah.
move away, please.
And I read it as him trying to get a little bit of help on the line, but like you said, if you were confident in your putting stroke and your ability to read greens, you needing to see what the putt of your competitor was doing would be completely unnecessary. So I just thought it was super
Exactly.
weird. And again, dude, stay in your lane. We all have a place to play, and yeah, like you said, let your game do the talking. And you had a chance to win it today, along with 4 other freaking people. I'm not four. It was like how many people tied at second? One,
It
two,
was
three,
maybe
four,
like five or
five.
six.
It was 5. So we had Scheffler, Toasty, Thomas Dietrich, Taylor
Yeah.
Moore, and Tony Finau all tied for second at 11 under. And after day one, there were some folks that went low, but no one was able to do it 2 days, 2 out of the 4 days. You had
Right.
Finau getting the course record at 62. You saw Nick Dunlap shoot a 63 yesterday, but no one was able to kind of just put up a super big number. So
Yeah.
for the tournament
Nobody
to
was
end at
recapturing the magic.
no, for it to end at 12 under, very interesting because when you look at that course, it feels very straightforward, but the greens are pretty tricked up. There are more elevations than I would say even TV is able to display. I mean, overall, it
Definitely.
looked pretty damn flat, but they showed a
All the
couple of
greens are
camera
elevated.
angles. Right, right. And you have to hold them. You have to get some spin on your ball. Even the fairways, there's some, undulation
You get
that
bad
when they were able
bouncing.
to 100%. So, shout out to Memorial for actually putting on a really competitive course. I was surprised
Absolutely.
at the scoring. So,
The green is
look at
wild. The
Houston.
greens are wild because, bruh, like there's stretches where you won't be able to hold the green with wedges, like, or it's too receptive and the greens will roll through or spin back. I mean, their greens are ridiculous, bro. I mean, that's their defense to the course because
Yeah.
just like what you see on TV, it's like that throughout the year for the the amateurs and the locals that play. And the tourists that come to town, there is not really much rough because they want the rounds to go fast. So they have a lot of. I'm not saying they have a lot of marshals, but they definitely have a pace monitor and stuff like that, and stuff like that. So I definitely think that they do that on purpose, but even then, it's still tough. And you
Yeah.
saw it with the scores. I'm actually surprised that they got to the double digits today.
Hmm.
Or in the tournament, because we've had a tournament out here. The tournament winner was like 7 under, and that was like a tough 7 under. That was like I mean I played some golf to be 7 under for
Yeah.
the week. So yeah, I'm glad that they've made it more playable to where we can score more. But also, you see what happens when you're a little bit squirrely around the greens. I mean, there's so many fall offs. There's so many like where the green and the fringe are just one, so you just roll right off. There is no
Yeah. You
check.
saw
There is no
several.
like, yeah,
Yeah, you saw several people putting it off the green, or like literally instead of pulling out a wedge, they were putting and would knock it off the other side of the green. Saw that a couple of
hundred
times.
percent.
So they're very tricky and have some more contours than you would expect. Like I said, I just hate that sometimes on TV the angles don't give it justice because they're coming from
Right.
those overhead angles, and so it looks flat unless you look at some of the color changes where you see the shine and some of the darker areas. That's really the biggest indication you could see. Um, but yeah, also one thing that I thought was interesting that they really got into this week is with Smiley Kaufman sitting on that par three. What do you think about that and them trying to change it up and do these kind of more in-depth talks with some of the players that have finished their rounds up? Do you like that, or do you think that's a an L?
I think it's a start. You know, I think, like we said, Kiss is like the right kind of pace. If you can find a lot more honest players like that, I think it'll be a good deal. And when you have holes to showcase like this, then it'll be a good idea. Because I think 15 is
Mm-hmm.
it's a good barometer for that. They made it a signature hole out there on the course. So the green is perched up, you got the fall offs, you got the water. And actually without the suspensions, it'd be a lot more intimidating if I'm being honest, because
Yeah,
it literally looks like a pimple because the green raises up, it's got the little head, and then everything else is
yeah,
shaved, and it'll just like what happened with Scotty. Once again, just one mistake and it'll cost Scotty. I mean, and that's what happened. He hit a great
yeah,
shot and he still got, like one time I played that hole, and it's a lot more intimidating without the stands there. One time I played that hole, hit the side of the green, hole high, rolls off left. I hit a perfect chip, like a nip chip, and
mm-hmm.
hit it up on the top. It spins, releases out, goes over the other side. I make triple because again, it's just a matter of it being such a small space to land it in and you having
Yeah,
to hit a perfect shot just to get it to roll out. Where you kind of just have to take your medicine and go out to the meat of the putting green, and just try to just two putt or whatnot like that. But yeah, I think the insight on holes like that, where you're just giving them quick little short promptu, like, hey, what were your ideology on holes like this? Are you aggressive? Are you just trying to get out of there with a par? Like, what is your
yeah.
ideology here? And then, I think it's fun. I mean, I think Smiley Kaufman has a good energy for this because,
He does.
showed he showed the guy going into the water. He showed Billy Horschel with his
I was
crappy
gonna say
pants
Billy
choices and
Horschel.
stuff like that.
Even though we don't love Billy Horschel, there's some things about him that are problematic. But um, him talking about how they were playing it earlier in the round.
Yeah,
They were pro. I mean, these are professionals, and they're hitting an 8 iron into a hole set at like 137. So that was showing, what the wind was doing on that particular hole. Even with the grandstands in play, they were having to really take a little bit of probably a club and a half more than they usually would to
Yeah.
get that ball, to the hole. And then they were playing it outright because it was set on the left that particular day. So I like it. I think it, like you said, it's the right person. Smiley Kaufman has that personality. I think he's affable, and I think the players enjoy talking to him. Right? He's not
I was
so far
exactly.
removed. He's not removed from the game where it's like this is some dude that played in his prime was 30 years ago. So I mean, you're
Right.
gonna have this crop of players that maybe their careers don't necessarily pan out the way that they, would have planned or play as long, especially with younger players getting better faster, that they see
Hmm.
going into the broadcast side as a more of an avenue and something that they can do to extend their, experience around golf and get paid. You see that with Johnson Wagner in the booth and playing, out on the course. Started seeing
Yeah.
him last year when I went to the Byron Nelson here in DFW. Johnson Wagner
Hmm.
walking around. I mean, he's not an old guy, but again, his
Right.
his fastball is just not keeping up with these younger players. And I think I heard it. I did overhear him talking to some PGA Tour staffer, and he said that, man. He's like, yeah, man. He's like, my best just isn't good enough right now. So, again, this is just another avenue for some of these players to graduate and keep their careers going and keep earning for their family. So, shout out to them
Yeah.
and shout out to the evolution that the PGA Tour is going to have to make, right? Is make those tough decisions where you get rid of a Paul Azinger, and while he's out there better, I think we've seen better broadcasts these years. So,
Yeah. I
whatever.
also think I also think things like that give the players more incentive to stick around, not be resentful of it. Okay, well, you
Mm-hmm.
didn't play the best, but you want to talk about it? Let's come talk about it. Talk about it on TV. I'll give you a check every week. Come on through. You
Right.
still are
Right.
you still active enough to walk around the course? Strap you on the little belt. We'll have you mic'd up and we'll give you the little tricks of the trade and you'll be all right.
Yeah.
We'll still keep you in there. And then, it's a little way for them to get equity. Just like they want to be involved, they want to have a say. This is your say. And
Yeah.
and it was funny because it just reminded me, I felt like Billy Horschel was trying too hard to feel personable again, and it was just kind of like you need to stop. It's like Billy,
Like
like,
he's
bro,
just too sugary.
the Floridians know you, bro. That's about it. Like kids is worldwide. Like the Georgians know him. He knew some Cali boys. Like kids had legit stories. Like, yeah, no, I like have his number. I was talking to him the other day. Like we were just doing dinner. Kids is like, I mean, I've seen him a couple of times, on the range, and we've talked a few times, and he's seems like a swell guy. Like, okay, bro,
I think
do you really
I
know
think
him?
that there's some aspects of Horschel that have been, he's been very establishment and very dug in.
Yeah,
He lives in Ponte Vedra, just too ingrained with the PGA Tour brass that I think there may have been just a little bit of like, you're too close to the top that maybe the trust level with other players may have been not there. So yeah, I can see
right.
him trying hard to get re-ingrained and kind of make himself feel a little more one of the guys. So anyway, I mean, good event. So it's good to see local stuff, courses that we've played. It always makes it feel a little more fun because you can remember a hole and your experience on that particular hole. So
Definitely.
more of that. More of that, versus these clubs that, we have no opportunity to ever play. Um, let's keep it moving. Champions Tour, man. Saw a story
I
earlier
don't
this week, and I know you're about to
That's
get
all you,
mad.
Rod. Hey, that's all you, Rod. I didn't even read it. I'm not even gonna entertain that shit,
Okay, so
my
I'll
brother.
I'll give the Cliff's Notes version, right? So Kristen Marco, I put on my notes that he's delusional and has an awful take on this live
Very
thing. So he said he wishes that the Live Tour would buy the PGA Tour champions, and he compared the prize pools of the players, which is the fifth major, right? The unofficial fifth major, as being the total purses, right? He's like, people that won, second, third, fourth place got what we get for a whole event. And in my head, I'm just sitting here thinking, like, we have gotten so far away from reality that people are not looking at the demand of what their sport, and particularly the Champions Tour, brings in. You look at these
Right. Look at your
events,
league, bro.
nobody's going to Champions Tour events. They are not popular events. They are lowly attended. It's a very niche game. And you look at even the people that work in and around the Champions Tour, these guys show up very last minute. They're
Yep.
still very good. And, they do their 3 days, tournament. Pro Am is on a Thursday. Again, these guys aren't putting in the, I guess, required and necessary stuff to get fans interested in the Champions Tour. So,
Right.
as a, again, he's talking about money. What about the Champions Tour would attract Live to buy them? What?
My
I mean,
thing
it's the
is,
PGA.
yeah, like
Go
you
ahead.
not you. My thing is, you know me. He's speaking like as if he's a John Daly or a Steve Stricker or a Miguel
Right.
Angel Jimenez or anybody of that caliber. Bro, you're not even a VJ scene. We talking perennial winners. Chris, your best highlight is the battle you had with Tiger where he ended up stretching it on out on you, bro, and had the shot of a century. Like you're not even in the same ballpark as these players that's actually winning and actually making the money. Steve Stricker don't complain about the money because he's winning and he wins these little 200Ks and that shit add up. So he not complaining. VJ Singh, he out here winning. He not complaining. When you one of those Champions Tour senior majors, get you some bread
Exactly.
and
He's
shut
not even.
up, bro.
He's not even
You,
competing on the Champions Tour at this point. So
bro.
it's
What are we
sad.
talking
It's
about?
very it was and here's the sad part for me is that since I read that story and then kind of did a little more research on DeMarco, I mean, I knew the name, but then you have to go back and go look at his accolades. I'm now starting to get not events, but articles suggested to me from Google that have Chris DeMarco's name in them. I'm like, dude, I don't want it.
Your
I just
fault.
wanted to do some
Your
quick.
fault.
I know. I blame
No,
myself for
government
that, but
agent done got you. The government
I
agent done
know
got you, bro.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
I'm in the algorithm now. But again, it just tells us how far from reality that some folks are living in, and he is one
Truly.
of them. All right, last story officially for the week, but then we'll kind of just see how we end up. But Tiger Woods, beginning of the year said that we'd get to see him every month. Well, in the month of March, we did not get to see him. He had the Arnold Palmer, as well as the players that we didn't get to see Tiger in. He played the member guest at Seminole. We know he withdrew from the Genesis with
Yeah.
feel-like symptoms. So Tiger's plane spotted in Augusta this week, couple weeks before the Masters. I don't know, man. I Yes, he's private and has always been secretive about his actions, and especially these last few years with where his body is. But I don't know, man. I feel like Tiger's been so involved in the business side of the PGA Tour that the playing
Yeah.
days feel like they're that we've seen what we were going to see from Tiger. After he looked healthy and the gait looked much better during the
Yeah.
Hero World Challenge and even during Genesis, I thought we were going to get a pretty decent smattering of Tiger this year. And I don't know. I just and again, I'm at a loss, bro. I'm at a loss. What
Yeah.
do you think about this new news?
It's tough because I want to see Tiger a lot, but I also know that it's got to be very, very, very pointed at what he thinks he's going to succeed in because Tiger is image based, and he doesn't want to be
Hmm.
seen struggling at events just because. He either needs points or needs reps and stuff like that. Like you remember a few years back, like 2018, before like the two major incidents, 2018, 2019, you saw my man's in some random shit. Like, bro was at the Valspar, bro was at the Wyndham Championship, the last event of the PGA Tour season. When was the last time we saw him there? And that was just to try to make the playoff and stuff like that. We're not going to see that from
Yeah.
Tiger again. But we need to see Tiger at we need to see him more frequently. Like it's got to be that perfect medium where he's getting the reps to stay active, but also making sure he has enough energy for the big moments. And that's what it is
Yeah.
with Tiger now. All this stuff has to be very pointed and, very much so on schedule. And he needs to have like, these things need to bottle up and meet at that right apex for these things to work out. And I don't know if it's going to
Yeah.
happen too many more times that often as it did. So with him trying to do what he needs to do to get ready for the Masters, I'm not mad at it, but it's like you need to hop out and play the Valero or some shit. Like you need to get
Yeah.
another tournament in to feel tournament reps again. Because I don't care who you are, when the TV's on, it's different, and he knows that, and that's why he needs to get
He
these reps
does.
on TV so that he's not sitting out here sheepishly going into the background like he did last time we was at the Masters, and doing what needed to be done to
Yeah.
make the cut, and then after that you just fall off the planet, or you withdraw after you got that. You know what I'm saying? So that's
Yeah.
what it is for
I
me with
think
Tiger, and hopefully that happens.
I think a few years ago, 2019, when he last won the Masters, that he was at that stage, with his body and his game that he could get tight enough at home, right? And
Yeah,
kind of
very
be
true.
able to sharpen up the game, play, those semi competitive rounds with, the guys down in Florida enough to get himself ready. Then he has the
Yeah,
accident, struggled with that for a couple of years. And, we can go through all the injuries that he's had in his career up to this stage that I do think I do think there is a good balance of getting actual game time reps in and being ready to and prepared to play in the majors when you need to. So that's why when he
right.
stated, "Hey, I'll be playing every month," it was perfect, right? So
Yeah.
that concerns
Once a
me that
month
he
ain't nothing.
promised that. No, I mean it's not like he played the full Genesis. He left early, so to not
Yeah.
see him in March, it leaves a lot to be desired, and really just again more mystery going into the Masters. Does he make the cut? For whatever is the 20 something time that he's actually entered. Does he? Is there something that keeps him out of it that we're
Right.
not aware of at this stage, that he's had some setback since playing the Genesis that we're not aware of. Who knows? We'll start hearing the tiger sightings. Is he training down hard down in Florida? Is he not? But yeah, he still moves the needle at the end of the day. um, so we want to see him. We want to see, can he recapture some magic. I do want to see him just play the weekend at the Masters. So
Definitely.
we'll have to wait a couple more weekends, less than 2 weeks, I guess, because we'll be starting, prep Monday from tomorrow, and we'll see, right? We'll see the guys go down actually on Sunday. So the real golf season starting. The weather is getting great, so I know Texas
Right.
was looking amazing this weekend. I hope our kind of northern and northeast brothers and sisters are actually getting out to play, and hopefully their weather is starting to look better. But hell, we had a 78 and slight breeze day on Saturday, and it was amazing. So it's got me wanting to play more and more golf. I know you do too, but golf
I'm
season
playing before
is
work.
here. Yeah.
We're at that time
Yeah.
now. I'm kind of thirsty every now and again.
I know I'm waiting for the days to get real long so you can get that 6:30 start, get a
Hmm.
quick little run in, maybe run 9, run 18 in like 2-3 hours. Um our local course, Keaton Golf Course here in Dallas, has those little scooters, and if nobody's in front of you, you can get
You
around
can
in
move
by
through it.
yourself in like 2 hours. Oh, it's crazy. So shout out to the golf season, feeling like it's really here now. Getting into the full swing of things, seeing some really good professional golf out there. Hearing Marcus burp in my ear.
You know you love it.
I hate it with a passion. Anything else you want to toss out before we get off?
Just a personal note. I just want to shout out mom because last year she was here in Houston for Easter, and so we were reminiscing on that. And I told her today, as she asked me if I was going to be at the Mavs Rockets game, I told her unfortunately no, but I told her what was going to happen in the game, and I told her Luca was going to have a master class, and here we are with you know Luca with a slight 47 on them boys. It's just it just is very elated to see Dallas being the best basketball team in the Texas again. And I've tried to tell
Whoa, whoa.
Houston,
Okay, in
all my
Texas.
Houston
Okay,
friends
okay.
in Texas,
In
relax.
Texas. Okay, okay.
I, Nobody wants to believe me. Everybody thinks the beef is between Dallas and Houston. The beef is between San Antonio. And it should be Houston and Dallas versus San Antonio because we have three compared to their five. So we still got a ways to go before we catch up with them as a community. So I don't understand this hostility that these guys have for the Mavs. They need to be putting this forth towards the Spurs, is all I'm asking. But that's
Oh,
all I got for this week.
Spurs out here won't lose them by 40, so they're not in the conversation.
Right,
Um,
lottery picks.
yeah. So next week, super excited to see Rory playing in the in
Valero.
San Antonio, getting prepped for the Masters. So that's a crazy ad. I hadn't seen any news that he's not playing. Um, Always a good tournament. Weather is going to be amazing in Texas next week.
Mm-hmm.
So I always throw this out randomly. That's one of the first tournaments that I ever started watching ESPN. Their golf coverage on ESPN Plus. If you've never, if you can find a trial for ESPN Plus, go get it. Like that coverage on Thursdays and Fridays is like elite. It is much better than the Golf Channel stuff. Go check it out. It's awesome. Valero will be pretty damn awesome this week. Again, you can get up at 7 a.m. and ESPN's going to have golf on all day. You can walk around with your
Yep.
phone and get coverage. ESPN Plus, it's amazing. Go check it out for better golf coverage than Golf Channel can offer you. So, anyway, Bearded Bros Golf Show. I'm Rod.
And I'm Marcus.
And we'll be back at it again next week. Go ahead and subscribe, check in with us, join the channel, whatever you got to do, all the YouTubey stuff, and we'll be doing our thing. Catch y'all next week. Peace.